What's going on, everybody? It's Gary from Killer Off-Road Hobbies here with another video. Today we're going to be doing a whole bunch of maintenance work on this here 2006 Toyota Tundra with the 4.7 V8. I'm going to do a timing belt, water pump, serpentine belt, you know, all that stuff, change the oil, put a new radiator in it, and just a whole bunch of other stuff. So follow along with me, and this isn't going to be a super in-depth video. This isn't going to show you step by step because there's already hundreds, if not thousands, of videos on YouTube that shops have done that will take you through every single step. This is kind of just a quick go through, show you guys kind of how to do it. And I do have some very important points that I didn't see on a couple videos that you need to know when you're doing a timing belt, as far as where to set your engine and all that stuff to keep your timing true. Now, all I did was I bought a genuine Toyota kit off of eBay. It was around $500, and it came with everything I needed. It came with the sealant, new pulleys, all that stuff. So I thought that was pretty good. I did put a Gates serpentine belt on this thing, and I did keep the serpentine belt that came with the kit. I just wanted, you know, it's black and green, so I figured get a Gates belt anyways. So, you know, I cleaned up the motor, I changed the oil and everything when I did all of this. But come along with me and let's do this real quick, and then hopefully this is informative and helps some of you guys. But like I said, there are a few very important points in this video that you need to know if you're going to do a timing belt yourself. And I'm guessing if you're watching this video, you know how to turn a wrench good enough to be comfortable enough to tear the motor down that much. So let's get into it. So I got this kit that comes with everything you need, all the pulleys, tensioners, everything like that, belts, new radiator hoses and everything. So I got this all off eBay for $500. I did go ahead and get a Gates serpentine belt, and then I got a new radiator just as preventative maintenance, because with an automatic transmission, the oil cooler goes through the radiator and it tends to fail, leak into the radiator. Then you get the mixture of coolant and transmission fluid. It can mess up your transmission. So since I'm in here and doing it, and a replacement radiator was $130, I'm just gonna go ahead and do the radiator with it. So that's kind of where I'm at. Just got my tools set out. I got this cheapo 12 volt little wrench thing that I'm going to try out, and then I did go ahead and purchase this Milwaukee Fuel 18 volt. This was $500, but it should be pretty awesome. It's supposed to have 1400 foot-pounds of torque. And then of course the most important tool of the day is coffee, because I work nights and that's just how my life is. Alright, so I've just done a couple things so far, just taking the intake off. I have drained the radiator, and that's about it. Just 6 bolts to pull off the skid plate if you have one. The pitcock's on the right side. I just drained it into a bucket, and since it was pretty new, I just filtered it and put it into those jugs. And this kit came with 1 gallon, so that's where we're at. But so next we're gonna pop the shroud off and then get this radiator out, then take the shroud out because you can't take it out with the fan on. So once the radiator's out, I'll be able to get the shroud out, and then I can take the fan off and then go from there. The bolts for the radiator come through the front. This one's one right there and one right there. And the same thing over here, that one and that one down in there. So we're gonna get those out. I'll get the hoses off and then pull the radiator out. Alright, so all 4 bolts are out, so it's nice and loose. I've got the top hose off, and I didn't do this. So see that brake right there? So this thing's, you know, was definitely needing to be changed. So I'm glad I did that. And then I'm gonna leave this hose on it for now. I just connected it from that neck. So I'm gonna pull the radiator out now and then get the shroud out of there, and then I can start on the fan. All right, so radiator's out. So I did have to take the bottom hose out because I didn't take the fan off first or whatever. But so bottom top hose off, take the bolts out, push the shroud back, fish it out, and then set it aside. All right, so next we're gonna do the fan. It's just 4 12mm bolts on the back side. You'll have to use like a pry bar or, you know, a hefty screwdriver to go ahead and stop it from turning. So I'm gonna pop those off, get the fan out of there, and then we'll go to the next step. So I got my little screwdriver, and you just get down in here on one of the bolts you already did and just hold it, and then get your 12mm wrench on a nut. And then break it loose. It's that easy, guys. So now the fan's off. So the next step is going to be to just take the serpentine belt off. So here's your belt tensioner right here. It's a 14mm. It's not all that tight. So what you do is you just put it on lefty loosey, and then you'll just pull up and see how the tension comes off of that belt, and then you can just pull it off. You don't really have to worry about it because there's a diagram right here that shows exactly how it goes back on. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to do is pull basically this top stuff off. I think I'm going to get a zip tie and zip tie this out of the way. But I'm going to pull this cover off. I'm going to pull this neck off and pull this cover off. It's all 10mm bolts. There's 4 on here. I think there's 4 on here with 1 stud right there. So I'll get those out, and then we'll actually see what the timing belt looks like. I did pull off these 3 connectors right here, but this does go underneath this this right here. So to get this out of the way, I gotta pull this off, and make sure you put this back in here once it's done, back behind the water pump. All right, things have escalated. Just kidding, nothing really too exciting. Just pulled this cover off. I'm still having trouble with this one, but I'll get it off. It's basically just, you know, moving down the motor. This, I took this rubber mallet, it's just got the 2 bolts, 1 long one and 1 short one, and you just got to tap it up and down, and then you just put RTV on this. So other than that, G. Willikers Batman, look how bad that frickin' timing belt is. So this truck has 206,857 miles as of the time it pulled in this shop here, and I think this timing belt has seen every single one of those miles. I mean, gee willikers. I am so glad that I decided to do a timing belt on this thing, because that's terrible. And this is an interference engine, so if that timing belt goes, it's not 100% of the time, but 99.9% of the time, your engine is just junk after that. Well, not your entire engine, but it will mess up a lot of stuff. It'll bend, bend your rods, your valves, all that stuff, because it is an interference engine. But I know next step, I'm kind of working on this side, and then I'll move over to this side. So this has 2 bolts and 1 nut you got to pull off, and you just move the pump to be able to have access through the holes, and then you just set that to the side. And then the alternator, same thing, you just pull the 2 bolts out, 2 or 3, and then you just set it to the side. So I'm going to do that, and then I'll bring you guys back. But yeah, Jesus Christ. Hopefully you guys can see how bad that is. That is just absolutely horrendous. Jesus. All right, guys. So this might be the most important part of this entire thing. All right, so 22mm on the crank bolt, and it doesn't take much. This engine turns over pretty easy. But when doing a timing belt, right? There's 2 marks here. This one that I've marked with yellow is your top dead center, but this T right here indicates for a new timing belt. You can see it's slightly advanced, but when you're doing a timing belt, make sure you line your mark on your cam up with the T right here, and it should be on both sides. See? That's top dead center, and that's for doing a timing belt. And as you can see, my mark is right there. And also, you can see on the crank pulley, that would be top dead center for just like all around top dead center. But this little white thing right here that lines up with that is for doing your timing. If you turn it to just top dead center instead of the timing mark, you'll have lash in your cam, and when you pull your belt off, your cam will actually rotate back or bounce forward, one of the two. But so for doing the timing belt, make sure you line it up with the T right there on both sides. So on this 06 Tundra SR5, it just slides out of this bracket. I didn't even have to pull anything off. I just pulled up on this and it slid right out. So now I'm just going to slide this back. Hard to do this with one hand, but slide that back, and I'm just going to set it up there. And then I'll take the alternator off. I think it's just 3 bolts, same thing. Okay, so I got the power steering pump moved out of the way, and then the alternator, I just set it down there. And now we're getting closer. Next thing I'm gonna do is pull off this fan bracketry. I've just got, looks like just 2 more 12 millimeters, and then whatever is under there I'll have to pull out as well. It's actually got 3 12 millimeters. Alright, I thought it was important to mention, so I did take those other bolts out, but there's this bolt right here that goes in from underneath, and that's why you pull this loose right there. So I'm taking that out. It's a 14 millimeter, and then after that comes out that way, this should be ready to pull off. Alright, so now we're at the point where we're going to remove the crank pulley. It's that 22 millimeter. I'm going to use my new Milwaukee Impact to get that off. Just make sure, double, triple, quadruple check that you're at top dead center on the timing mark, not just officially top dead center. Make sure you're on the timing mark. So I'm going to pull that crank pulley off. Then I get this backing plate off, and then the tensioner is up underneath here, right there. And I'm going to pull that off, and then I should be able to take the belt off. To the point where we're about ready to take this thing off, this tang or whatever. So just make sure you take note that the concaved portion is facing towards the outside, and it's kind of like concave towards the inside, and it's keyed, so you can't really put it on here wrong, but don't put it on here backwards. And then I got lucky, my my crank pulley just slid right off, so I didn't have to use a puller or nothing. But you can see right here that I've laid it out. That's the point I'm at right now, which I'm close to done. All I gotta do is take out the water pump. But you can see, this is what I started with. Just move this way. So on the way back, putting it back together, I'm gonna just go that way. I've got all the main hardware put in the holes it needs to be. You know, like I just set all the nuts and bolts with all the stuff it goes with. See? So just organize yourself like this and it'll make it super easy. Alright, so water pump's out. What I'm going to do now is just kind of clean everything up, get all this gasket material off of here, and just get it ready for the new water pump, the new timing belt and everything. I did have to pry just a tiny bit to get it off of this little nub right here. That's common, but this has been going pretty smooth, so I don't want to speak too soon, but it's been going pretty smooth. But like I said, I'm just going to clean all this stuff up in here. I don't think I need to change any of the seals. There was no like oil in here, nothing like that. So I think I'm good. I think I'm just going to clean it up and then put it back together with all the new stuff. Alright, so the kit I got comes with literally everything I need to do this. It even comes with the cam seals and all that stuff, but I'm not getting into that. It was so dry in here. I know it'd be nice to do it right now. This truck's got over 200,000 miles, but it is not an easy deal to do that, and I want to get this truck done today. So what I'm going to do is take some of this official Toyota gasket sealer maker stuff. I'm going to put it on the back side of the gasket, slide the gasket on there, put some on the front side, and then throw the water pump on, and then go from there. Should go back together pretty easy. So I'm probably just gonna kind of blow through this, kind of like what I've been doing, just showing you guys periodically. Hopefully this helps you guys. It's not hard, and there's a lot of super detailed videos online, so I didn't feel like I needed to make one of those. Alright guys, so we got the water pump back in installed. I did the Toyota gasket sealer. I did it on both sides of the gasket, and then I put a little bit on each bolt that went through, just in case, because I don't want to redo this again. Now, the right side of your motor is the passenger side. So this belt comes with a left side mark, a right side mark, and then if you go under here, you can see there's a mark for the crank as well. So you line the crank one up first, and then you go up top and fish the belt in here, and just line this up with your left cam mark and then your right cam mark, and then you're good. Now what we're going to do is install the tensioner from the bottom, and then once we get that in there and tight, we'll pull the pin, and then the belt's in there and it's on. I did replace both of these pulleys, so yeah, we're good. Okay, so we installed that. Just make sure you tighten one side and then the other all the way up until it's tight, and then once it's tight, just, you know, give it the good and tight. So we've rechecked our marks like 5 times over. Everything looks good, all the tensioners and everything. So we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna pull our pin, and now we're good. But I'm gonna keep this around just in case I ever need to do that again. Just to have it, just have the pin. Alright, so now we're gonna put the cover back on and just reassemble this whole thing. I'm not going to start it right after I get done. I'm probably going to wait till tomorrow morning, give that RTV some time to set up. I'll have to do RTV around this as well. Put the new O-ring. I did put the new O-ring on that. The kit comes with it, that little hose in the back. I'll put the new O-ring on there. But I'm just going to kind of slap this thing back together and then bring you guys back anytime I think you need to be informed of something. Alright guys, so this part's important. Before you put any of it back together, you need to do 1 revolution to check your timing. So you put your crank bolt back in and just crank the motor over. Alright, so now this is where we check our actual timing. Now see how the timing mark is lined up with that timing mark, this timing mark is lined up with that timing mark, and then this little nub right here, geez, I need to get some wood in here. Alright, that little nub on the crank is lined up with that little tiny dot on the block. So our timing is good. It's good here, it's good there, and it's good there. So now we can do reassemble. Well, everybody, it's pretty much back together. I put the new thermostat in just to do that. You can see my gasket maker right down in there. I put the new seal on that and put a little bit of oil on it. These I got all bright using WD-40. Other than that, everything's back together. I've got no spare hardware, so I'm just gonna finish it up. Serpentine belt and the fan and all that, and then I'll put the new radiator in it and everything, and then this thing's gonna be done. Well, everybody, as you can see, she's all back together. I've got no spare hardware. Good things. With this eBay radiator I bought, I had to switch out the side plates for the old ones. The new ones are here, but they weren't right. So once I did that, it fit perfect. But I'm gonna leave it sit overnight, let that RTV set up and everything, and then I'll fire it up tomorrow. I'm gonna change the oil and everything right now too, so I'll be right back in the morning and we'll fire it up and see if I did it correctly. Alright, everybody, so it's the next morning and I went ahead and changed the oil. Pretty much just double, triple, quadruple checked everything. I'm not going to reinstall the skid plate. I don't see any need for it since I'm not going to have this thing off-road at all or anything. I went and checked all my hose clamps, you know, everything. So I'm going to fire it up right now, I guess, and fingers crossed I did it right. So all I gotta do is plug the battery back in, just put the negative terminal on, and then fire it up. So wish me luck. Well, sounds good. I think I did all right. It didn't blow up, so well, anyways, I'm gonna get this thing out of the garage, let it warm up, wait for the thermostat to open, then top the coolant off, and then we'll kind of go over everything. So see you in a second. Well, I think we did good, guys. I think she's all ready to go. Now, on to more maintenance stuff. Anyways, like, subscribe, you know, all that jazz. If this helped anybody, I know it's not going to be the most thorough, but like I said before, this is just kind of like a fun video, but there is some good stuff in here. So yeah, let's keep this stuff rolling and keep doing projects, I guess. All right, everybody, till the next video. Peace.